What is going on, people, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about something very interesting. We're talking about electric motorcycles, and more specifically an electric motorcycle that has been developed by Damon motorcycles. So as with all future innovations, often they start off as prototypes, and Damon was a prototype, and probably in some aspects is still considered a prototype. However, this one looks like it's going to be moving forward to the future and taking the electric motorcycle scene from what is in essence nothing at the moment to something. The closest I can compare this company's activity is to Tesla. They are using that business model, they're following their steps. But in a lot of ways I feel like electric motorcycles are going to be better than electric cars, because one of the biggest limiting factors from electric cars, as I'm sure you've seen people complain about, is the range of them. The range is just not there. In comparison to normal cars, you're really struggling to get that 600, 700 miles to a tank or to a charge, which is what you'd get in more traditional diesel or petrol powered vehicles. Whereas the electric motorcycle scene is that often you're finding that a lot of these prototypes are claiming to have numbers that are better than the gas powered or petrol powered variants that are already on the market at the moment. And if you've been following the news, you've probably already seen that Harley-Davidson has given a shot at these electric motorcycles, and it looks fantastic. And by all accounts, everyone that's got one thinks it's a fantastic motorcycle. But the issue that Harley-Davidson have got is that the price is too much for what it's offering. People aren't yet willing to change from their traditional petrol powered motorcycles for these new electric variant motorcycles, because the price change is just too much. Now people are going to get motivated to buy these bikes as governments and as countries start introducing more incentives to get motorcycles and to get electric powered vehicles. But I find that one thing that Damon has done well is that they've covered it all. They're doing it at a reasonable price and you're getting a lot for your money. And in this video we're going to be going over everything we know about the Damon motorcycle. So I've got quite a lot of details on the Damon motorcycle, and a lot of this stuff is brand new to this channel and brand new to YouTube. You're not going to find this sort of stuff anywhere else. I'm going to link the sources where I've got this information from down below, but this information has come from the CEO of the company, so it's pretty reliable. First of all, the important stuff, the bit what everyone wants to know. How quick is it? How far does it go? And what is the price? Now we're going to cover all three of these in this video, but let's first of all go into how quick it is. Now the Damon motorcycle comes at the moment in 4 variants. You can pre-order 4 variants of it, so the speed does vary. And of course the more expensive one is the faster one and the cheaper one is the slower one. But you can be expecting sub 3 seconds 0 to 60 from all of these vehicles. Even if you get the cheaper one, the torque is claimed to be the same on them all, which is that acceleration, that grunt that kicks you in the back. So I would expect that the acceleration on all of them is going to be sub 3 seconds 0 to 60. But this figure's been quoted, so at worst I would expect at least the fastest one in their range to do this number. However, it's not unattainable to expect them all to do this. They are rocking 235 Newton meters of torque, and the more premium model is rocking 200 horsepower. And these horsepower numbers drop throughout the range, so you drop to 150 horsepower and then to 101, which is the bottom spec one. I'm just going to go through the different specs and the different vehicles what you can get. So first of all, at the top of the list is the Premier. Now I'm going to tie this in with the HS model, which is the second in the list. So the Premier and the HS model are in essence the exact same vehicle. The Premier has just got better things on it, such as all-in suspension, Brembo brakes. It's got better components. It is also rocking a single-sided swing arm, so it does have that little bit of a cool factor added to it. But even if you get the cheapest one of these models, I think we can all agree, whether you like sports bikes, electric bikes or not, these things look pretty cool. So now we've established what the Premier is, we'll go on to the HS. Now the HS, although not being the highest spec in their range, as we've said, it has very similar outputs. So we're getting 200 horsepower, 235 Newton meters of torque, that 0 to 60 in sub 3 seconds, as we have already mentioned. And you can expect anywhere between 200 miles on the motorway and 300 miles and city driving. So as you can see, that's already way more than the bikes this is comparing against, such as your R1s, your S1000 RRs. The range is way more, but the numbers are up there with them. Dropping down the specs then, we go to the SX model. Now this is 150 horsepower, and these numbers correlate quite well into other aspects of the vehicle. So we're getting 150 miles range on the motorway. The torque is claimed to be the exact same throughout the whole range. That'll be interesting to see if that is true and that comes out. But as I said, that has been quoted by the CEO himself. And then dropping down to the bottom spec, which is the SE, which is by no means a bottom spec motorcycle, but that is doing 100 horsepower, but again, it's still going to be a very quick bike, and visually there is not much difference. So where do these price? So they price on the upper one £29,000 and on a lower spec one £13,000. And when compared to a new motorcycle of that performance today, yes, granted the £29,000 is quite a lot, but you are getting a lot more for your money. But when compared to some of the more premium Ducatis, the price range is not that much more. I think you can pick up a Ducati for 25 grand, one of the top spec ones. So another 4 grand to have this electric experience, which is going to be totally different. I think it's going to be a fair trade-off. So when are they going to be ready for us to purchase here in the UK? We're expected to see them towards the latter end of 2022 and the earlier end of 2023. Unlike other motorcycle manufacturers, they are not selling them to dealers. You can only purchase them direct from their website, which again will be linked below. And I think that is one of the reasons how they're managing to get this amount of tech out for such a low price, because they are cutting out the middleman and you're going direct to the supplier. So now let's go into some of the things that this motorcycle does that others don't do. Now we've already talked about the numbers, and I appreciate they are stuff that other motorcycles will not do, but let's go into some other stuff, some new technology. So from a safety standpoint, this company is laying the road from a future standing point of view for other bike manufacturers to follow. This bike's coming with anti-collision sensors. It's going to track vehicles around you. It's going to let you know when people are coming into your space. It looks around corners for you. It's got a rear view mirror built into the cluster. And from watching an interview with the CEO, the focus is very much on safety. They're trying to attack a niche part of the market. The bikers that want bikes but consider it too dangerous. I mean, we've all met them when we're down at the pub, or when you're chatting to someone and they're like, oh, I'd love a bike, but I'd kill myself. It's aimed at that guy. It's aimed at that guy that he wants the exhilaration, but he doesn't want the risk. Now that doesn't mean that it's not aimed at normal bikers as well, because it's still going to be a really, really quick bike, and I think we should be ready to move forward with the future and embrace this speed what electric motors are going to give us. And I think I've made my stance on this pretty clear in other videos surrounding electric vehicles. But with the rate of consumers buying motorcycles up 7% each year, this is capturing that market that may be on the fence on whether they want a motorcycle or not. One of the coolest features I think of this motorcycle is the shift technology, and in essence what that is going to do is it's going to take you from a racing style position to a more sit-up commuter style position. So you're kind of getting 2 bikes for the price of one. You're switching between a Super Duke and an S1000 RR, those riding positions. Don't get me wrong, you're still going to have an absolute animal of a motorcycle beneath you, but one of the big things when I owned a sports bike is those long commutes just aren't that fun when you're riding on a sports bike. It's great to have for that intermittent time when you're winding it on down the twisties. Sat on a motorway, there's just no fun sitting on a GSXR. So that is quite appealing to me, to have the ability to switch between styles of riding at the flick of a switch. And again, this next point is quite interesting to me from an engineering standpoint. So the motor and the batteries are built into part of a chassis. Imagine like a monocoque construct in a Lotus. The chassis is the tub. Now, in this instance, the chassis is the battery and the motor. And what does that mean? It means that you basically got this powertrain, this engine block that you can then bolt a headstock to and bolt a rear swing arm and a subframe to. So as far as development of new motorcycles is concerned, the power plant, the lump, is going to maintain the same aspect of the motorcycle, and then different bolt-on yokes and different bolt-on swing arms are going to be added on. So you can expect to see this bike come out in chopper format, in cruiser format, in sports bike format, in touring format, in adventure format. You can expect to see this bike come out in all those formats. And what does that mean for us? It means that for the future moving forward with these motorcycles, if they do manage to push out as much as they're planning to push out, parts are going to be easily accessible. Things are going to be easy to change. It's going to be like working on the same vehicle regardless if you have the adventure or the sports variant. And I think that's going to be a really interesting concept. It's going to allow companies to invest time and money in third-party aftermarket components, because at the moment you've got companies that don't like to invest that because it's such a niche area, as in you're designing a part for one bike, for one iteration of that bike, and in 4 years time a new one will come out and your part is then an old redundant part. Whereas I can fast see this becoming quite a thing where third-party companies would like to get involved with and manufacture parts for it. And that is everything we know on the Damon Hypersport bike. It looks very interesting, and I think we can expect to see great things from this company in the future. And I for sure, if I've got the money when these bikes are released, I'll be looking at purchasing one. But that being said, you can pre-order one on their website now. You can pre-order it with a fully refundable deposit. And what these pre-orders are doing is they're checking numbers in countries so they know where to roll them out first. So if you do want one in the UK and you know you're definitely going to need one, then go on and pre-order one. you can always get it refunded at a later date, but the more numbers we get in the UK puts us up that pecking order for the bike to be released in the UK. And likewise, if you're from other countries and you want it released in your country, this is how you would go about doing that. If you have anything you would like to add to Damon motorcycles, or even electric vehicles in general, drop it in the comments below. I'm really enjoying researching this sort of stuff, and I'm really looking forward to stuff what's going to come out in the future. But if you have any information, or if you have any comments or thoughts on what's going to happen with these sorts of bikes, certainly in the UK, then let me know what you think. I'll catch you in the next video.